If you're listening to this, it's likely because the vibe in your home has shifted. Maybe the laughter has been replaced by a heavy silence, or perhaps you've noticed that every conversation feels like walking through a minefield. You aren't just going through a phase, you're experiencing what many people call the roommate syndrome, where two people who love each other before begin to live parallel lives instead of a shared one. Welcome to Emotional Healing for Christian Women, the podcast where faith meets inner healing. Imagine waking up without the weight of shame, guilt, fear, and loneliness. Imagine finally feeling worthy, confident, and at peace. And doing this with God by your side. That's the healing we can begin together. I'm Marvel Adeyemi, a psychotherapist and a faith-led women's coach. Let's get started. In my work here in Ballarat, I see couples who are exhausted from the bickering. And I want to talk to you directly today with respect and with hope. And we're going to look at why this happens. I'll discuss the losing strategies that keeps us stuck and how we can move back into warm, connected harmony that God intended for partnership. So this is a space for people of faith and for anyone who values the sanctity of a committed life. Now let's get to work. Honestly, no one gets into marriage or enters a long-term partnership with the goal of becoming polite strangers. Yet it happens. Why? Because in relationship therapy, especially within the framework of relational life, we look at what we call the dance. You have a part and your partner has a part. Often when you feel like you're under threat, you are not being heard, you go back into what we call survival skills that helped you from your past. And I want to touch on some of the losing ways we often use in our communication with our partners that surely doesn't bring that kind of positive outcome. Number one is the need to feel that you're right. So you rather win the argument than win your partner back. And here is something I often hear one of my mentors say: you either want to be right or you want to stay married. The choice is yours. So keep in mind that you are a team, actually, and it's not necessarily important if the argument is won. The next strategy that I see a lot of times that doesn't help in communication is the need to want to be in control, trying to force your partner to be who you want them to be. If you're still married and you are young, you may not understand totally how frustrating and exhausting it is trying to control or change your partner. All right? And for those who have been married for a long time now, they can tell you, don't go in that direction. It's so exhausting. It's such a waste of time. And there are different ways of controlling. Some people control from top to the bottom. Some control from bottom to the top. So you might go like, oh, I'm not controlling. Your passive aggression is a form of control as much as an aggressive behavior is a form of control. Either way, you're trying to control or make your partner become who you want them to be, not who they are. And I think one of the first steps to liberating yourself and being comfortable is to leave that surrendered heart, to allow your partner to be. And women, I need to say this very, very importantly, our partners are not our children. They will make mistakes. Allow them to learn from consequences. Another losing technique or strategy I find couples use is this unbridled self-expression. Your need to want to vent out every frustration without a filter and thinking it's honesty when it's actually hurtful. I do encourage women, if you want to vent, that close friend that you feel safe with, go and vent there. It's allowed. You don't have to vent everything to your partner because that actually hurts. And as women, we have the gift of jab. We can talk and articulate. Men are not socialized to articulate feelings and emotions as much as women do. So, and what I find psychologically is when you're venting to your friend, chances are you'll be more bridled versus when you are venting to your partner. The next losing strategy is the need to want to retaliate. This one is big. It's more like hurting them because they hurt you. So an example could be, I'm going to cheat as well because my husband cheated on me. No, sabotaging your relationship. And that is so sad because you've stopped seeing yourself from your own eyes. Because seeing yourself from your own eyes means that you are grounded in your own values and not necessarily your husband's values. And this is why boundary is so important. I don't know how to emphasize it a lot. You need boundaries even when you are married. You can be connected and not be protected. Boundaries help you to be protected while you are in your relationship. All right? And that's a whole form of dynamic and technique that I do teach couples. The form of control from the bottom up, form of control from the top to the bottom, and how boundaries can help. And I do use terminologies like you can be protected and not connected, you can be connected and not protected. That's a whole framework around that. So retaliating them because they hurt you, because you feel justified, does not necessarily make it a winning strategy. All right? Two wrongs can't make a right. And do not go down on your own values because your partner has gone down on his own values. The next strategy I discuss often is withdrawal. Building a wall and leaving behind it. So when there is that withdrawal, you are protected, but you are not connected. So there is a boundary. It's not really a boundary, a wall. For me, a boundary is like a gate. You can look, if someone knocks at your gate, you can peep and go like, okay, I want this person in. Or, no, I don't want this person inside. Who are you? And choose not to open the gate. But for walls, you can't even see who is on the other side. And so very often, if people want to steal or boggle, they have to jump over the fence. That's another conversation for another day. Why would people want to jump over the wall to come into your space? Anyway, but withdrawal is more like a wall. You are disconnected, is indifference. You no longer care. And that is like it's a language on its own. Like children will say, speak to my hand, things like that. When we use all of the strategies that I just discussed, we move into a one up or one down stance. And you might feel superior, like you are the same person, you are the right person, or you might feel worthless and victimized. Neither of this is a place where love grows. So love grows when we are same as two imperfect people standing on level ground. So what's the solution? What's the relational reset in terms of communication gap? How do we fix it? It starts with joining through the truth. It's about looking at your part of the dance with radical compassion, humility, and vulnerability. It's so important. And the first technique is the communication reset. Instead of you always do this, you've got to start talking about how you feel. I feel disconnected when this happens. I feel rejected when that happens. So you learn communication techniques that allow us to speak so our partners can actually hear us. So rather than defending yourself, it's about you shifting from that child inside of you who is reacting out of fear to a functional adult who is acting out of values. This is so important. You need to reassess your own values. Very important. What are values that are very dear to you? And in a functional adult mode, which is you are required to be in relationship, you need to act out of values. If forgiveness is a big deal to you, act out of that. If Integrity is big deal to you, act out of that. Trust is big deal to you, act out of that. You cannot act out of values and expect that your relationship will be close. The second solution I suggest for relational reset is de-escalating the conflict. Conflict is inevitable in relationships, and society has given the picture that once there's a conflict in a relationship, it's over. We have not been given the tools to repair relationships, and so most couples are stuck. They're in a frozen state. Now there's a conflict, then what? What do we do? We can't go apart and we can't go forward. But fighting and combating is optional. I teach couples in my 4-week program how to spot what I call the vicious cycle before it spins out of control. It's about having the maturity to say, hey, we're doing this thing again. And let's pause and let's breathe. Another communication reset, relational reset I talk about is the faith perspective. For my listeners of faith, remember that you are called to be repairers of the breach. Relationship health is not just about psychological goal. It's actually a spiritual practice. It requires the courage to offer grace when your partner doesn't deserve it, and the humility to ask for it when you don't. I grew up hearing my pastor say that who you get married to can either take you to hell or take you to heaven, and I believe it is true. Because you can come to a place of so much anger against your partner for what they didn't do or what they did, that you forget that you're first a daughter of God before you became a wife. And it's important to have that perspective and reset, that even if you feel rejected by your partner, God still loves you. You're still his daughter, and you still have a place. So if you believe in heaven, I do, how about making that your ultimate perspective? It has a way of centering one back, and I have found that to be very helpful personally. Okay, I need to talk to you about a 4-week program that I have commenced for couples, both online and in person, because I know that just talking isn't enough. I know that a lot of people are very aware of the problems in their relationships. Some people can even discuss solutions. A lot of podcasts and a lot of content out there. It does not necessarily mean that you're making progress in your relationship. So I structured a specific 4-week communication and conflict program here in Ballarat. And we discuss solutions, roadmap, frameworks, tangible tools, not just the problems. So week 1 is usually about communication reset. Week 2 is about mastering de-escalation. Week 3 is about focusing on rebuilding the trust that has been, eroded by years of bickering and arguments and going round and round in circles. And week 4 is about sustaining that intimacy for the long haul. We do a lot of practicals, and a lot of my clients find them very helpful because then they can locate themselves in where the dance is going on in their relationship. So it's not about blaming, it's about equipping. You wouldn't try to fix a complex engine without a manual. So stop trying to fix complex relationships without the right techniques. It's so important. All right, if what I've said today resonates with you, if you recognize yourself in these losing strategies that I talked about, I want you to know that it's possible to change your relationship. A lot of things are involved, particularly if both of you are willing to do the work, because you don't have to stay in the roommate phase. That's why I'm inviting you to reach out to me, whether you're in Ballarat, looking for online support anywhere. Let's see if we can get you back on the same team. You can email me directly at contact@wholesomecounseling.com. So don't wait until the silence becomes permanent. Reach out, ask about 4-week intake, and let's start the repair, or you want to ask for one-on-one or couple counseling. I'm always available. So thank you for listening in today. Until next episode, stay beautiful, stay confident, stay prayed up. And this is Emotional Healing for Christian Women. God bless, and I'll speak with you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time with me today on Emotional Healing for Christian Women. If this episode blessed you, please leave a review and share it with a friend who needs encouragement. And don't forget to download my new book, Beyond the Hurt, from my website, marvelademi.com.au, and other free resources. Until next time, stay healed, stay beautiful, and stay confident.